everyone. Welcome back to this tutorial on Winforms. Um, just a full disclosure, I wanted this tutorial to be more of an introduction into C Sharp, less about Winforms and more about C Sharp. So I'm hoping and praying that you're picking up some pointers of how to using the C Sharp language. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Visual Studio. It's been a few days since I actually worked on this particular project. Been busy at working at church and with home stuff. Um, so let's go ahead and open up our project here. So once it's done doing its little processing in the background, I'm going to, you see our stuff popping up here. We're logging into GitHub. And I'll go ahead and go to recent projects and go to the grocery application that we've been working on. Bam. It should automatically launch our the branch that we're in over here. We'll be able to pick up where we left off at in a moment. And just a reminder, we're trying to make our application look very similar to what we have here. It's going to look slightly different because we're, making it a little smaller and we're messing around with the size of the buttons and stuff. But in the last video, we left off and we were going to start in this video with populating our data table and getting data elements over here to start showing. So that's what we're going to do. Let me close this one here. Okay. I've got an update to Visual Studio. I'm also going to launch the other application. Oh, you know what? It's because I'm on a different branch. What I'm going to do is go ahead and get the here. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get the data view set up here. So we're on our main form, and as we remember, our data view is called data grid view. We didn't do any fancy stuff to it. So if you look over here, oh, sorry, that's my Sprint over there for a daughter. If you look over here, and I'll go to Google, we're going to talk about populating a data, not a data, grid view in C Sharp. Bam. And all of the information that I have gleaned on some of the things that we're going to go over, I'm looking straight from MSDN and Microsoft Docs, and doing it that way to show you how this works. I won't be using the code exactly as you see it here, obviously because we're doing something slightly different. But we already have an actual data source. So if you remember, we clicked on this little box here when we originally created it. It said choose data source, and we don't have any available here. It's because we're going to do all of that in the code behind. We're also going to configure our data view to only have a view capability. So that means in here we're going to uncheck this enable adding, editing, and deleting in here, and leave this enable column reordering unchecked, because we don't want them to go into, we want them to use the program to change the data, not just go change it in the data view. So we're going to make sure that those are unchecked. Go to the code behind of our form. And we already have a data grid view object defined because we defined it over here in our control. So we can call on that particular object's properties anywhere in our code because it's shared throughout the entire form. because it's a child object of our main form. So what we can do is we can come in to our code. If you remember, we have our worker methods and we have our method, our handler, event handler methods up here. So we've got our main form, we've got an add item. So in our add items method, let's go to that one there. And at the end of our add items method, what we're going to do after our initialize, and let's just put it in there to see if this is going to work. After our add record into our DAO, which adds the item into our table, we're also going to clear out our capture fields. But before that, we're going to set the data source of our data grid view. So down here, we're going to insert an empty line and type data grid view 1 dot data source equals our item data table. And what that does is it gives our data grid view a source on which to pull the data from and to show on the screen. So let's save our work, come back over here, and we'll start our method. We'll start our debugger. I'm going to put a breakpoint in here so we can stop there. Now I'm going to add an item. So let's just add grapes. $4, quantity of 1, and now not taxable. We'll click add. So what happens is it's going to add the model that we came up with in our last video. So here's our grapes for $, quantity of 1, and it's not taxable. We're going to hit F10 to get past that. Now we're ready to set our data source in our grid data view to our table. So let's hit F10, and then let's just hit F5. And now you can see that we've got our grapes, and they're here. And we've got a taxable checkbox here that it's showing there. So you might want to change some things here as well. So let's click close here and say yes, we want to exit. So let's go back over and review our item data table in our DAO object, DAO class. So we have a Boolean value there. And what I want to do, instead of it being a Boolean value, is let's make it a text field with an S. So we're going to put a T, or leave it blank. So let's change this to string. And then over here in our add record method, since this is now a string value, this is a Boolean value, it would just show true or false in there. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to make what's called you're going to use the ternary operator, which allows us to make a conditional on the same line. So, and you can do that if the first part of your condition is true false. So what we're going to do is we're going to say model.taxable, which is it's a Boolean value. So we're going to say if model taxable, and the ternary operator, go to here, ternary operator, and that's this right here. So the way this ternary operator works, if we get into conditionals, we talked a little bit about conditionals in a previous video, I believe. So we were looking at them right here. But what the ternary operator allows you to do is set a field based on a condition. So it's just a different way to do an if then conditional, basically. So if your condition is true, then do this. Otherwise, do this. And it has to be a true false over here. So here's some examples of a ternary operator. So here we have up here where we have a nullable integer, and we're saying if the integer is um, equal to the condition up here, then output a 12 in the integer, or otherwise leave the integer nullable, a null value. Kind of like this here. So if A, then do B, otherwise do C. Okay? Or here's a great example of it, a very easy way to look at it. Is this condition true? If it's true, then do the thing after the question mark. If it's not, then do the thing after the colon. Real easy to use. So that's what we're going to use here. And we're going to say if model taxable, which is going to be true or false because it's checked or unchecked. So if it's taxable, we're going to say T for taxable. Else, we're going to leave it empty. Like that. Alrighty. Let's go back to our main form because we need to, what we'll need to do is double check to make sure that we're not messing around with that. So, and messing anything up. Okay. So now let's rerun our conditional. Do the same thing we did before. Grapes, $1, quantity of 1, add, hit F10 a couple of times, no errors, hit F5, and now we've got, if we go over, we should have an empty value there. Let's add something else. Let's add a roll of toilet paper. 175. Well, you know, toilet paper is more expensive in these days, so let's say 575. For one quantity, let's make it a taxable item. Say add. Hit F10 a couple of times. And now we've got a T where our taxable indicator is true there. And the other thing we're going to have to fix is being able to try to show everything on the same page. So we might have to lengthen our form a little bit here so they don't have to scroll. So that's one thing we can do. So as we can see, our form is resetting each time we add an item. So let's just take the breakpoint off and let's keep adding items. So we got grapes, we've got butter, 99, 0.99. Let's just put 99 in there and see what happens. 2. And you'll notice that it automatically calculates based on the quantity there. Trash bags. $13 for trash bags. I don't think they cost that much, but let's see. 1, and that's a taxable item. We'll add that. You'll see everything we've got is totaling up in our price column, and it's adding our quantities together. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5 items. And eventually what we'll do is we'll have all of this add up down here as well. It'll count 2 taxable items, it'll count 4 items total, and it'll count this total here. So let's go ahead and close and exit out of here. And so what we've done is we've made sure that our add items method works. We know that it's working. Now the next one we're going to do is our remove item. And I believe what we were doing in our DAO, we have an add record, and we have an update record and a delete record, and a delete all records. But we don't have a button for delete all records. But we can put in some functionality there that will allow us to do that all at one time. So let's do this. We did our add, we're going to do our remove next. So let's go into our DAO, and what we're going to do is we're going to give our update record a similar signature of our data table, because what we're going to pass back to um, we're going to pass back to our form over here is we're going to have to iterate through all of our items in our table and ask the person, is this the one you want to delete? Yes, no. Is this the one you want to delete? Yes, no. Is this the one you delete? Yes, no. And then once we find the one that they want to delete, then in our delete record, we will go to that particular data row, pass it over here, and delete it from the table. I'm thinking about a different way that I can do that this time than I did the last time. So in our table, we have rows. And so let's go back over to our main form, and under our remove item, we can look at this and see what we got going on here. It says delete record. That's what we're going to right there. So above here, and you notice we put our to-do in there to let us know what we were going to do here. Above here, let's go ahead and start our logic to delete a single record. So first, to find out which one we need to go through, we need to create a loop. So there's there's a couple of different kinds of loops that you can, a few different kinds of loops I should say, that you can do in C#. There's for loops. There's for each. And then there's while and do loops and stuff, and I won't go through those. So what I want to do is, so the difference between these two is for loops use an integer value as a counter basically. Every time you loop through your condition, and it's parsed out this way. Let's say this is a 10. Let's say we have 10 items in our loop. So the first part of this condition, this is actually three statements in one. If you break it down, you can do it like this. So the first statement is it's initializing a counter variable called I to 0. You can initialize it to what you want, but a lot of times what people do when they're using these type of for loops is they're wanting to iterate through something with an index. And when I say something with an index, we're going to talk a little bit about arrays now. I don't think I had arrays on that list that I had. Actually, let's just add arrays to that list that we were talking about, actually. It's probably better. We'll let that come up. No. Why are you doing that? No. Word. I'm getting happy over here. Okay. There we go. I'll let that come up in a second here. So basically what arrays are is they are placeholders for each I want to say index array. There we go. Let's use it this way. Let's spell out a word here. Let's spell out the word encyclopedia. Now, if we were going to look at arrays, arrays break things up into individual indexes, starting with 0. 0, 1, 2, and so on and so forth. So let's do it this way. Like this. Okay. And then these are the indexes of that array. not the index, but the drawing a blank on that one. So let's spell out the scheme in CYCLOPEDIA. And I'll get rid of that because now all of these are the same size. There we go. Center them. That looks kind of funky there. Well, let's do it this way. 1, 0, 1, 1. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. So arrays, I'll Google that for you. Arrays are a very common programming language object or functionality in arrays. And so what arrays do is they allow you to store elements of any type, of any object. This is C# now. And they can be single dimensional, multi-dimensional, jagged arrays, so on and so forth. I won't get too much into that. So each line or each element of your array is basically an item. Think of them as being like mini tables in a way. So we have our name or book title, book. Let's call it book. So this is the name of your array's book. And then let's go over to, let's enter a line there. This is your index. And this is your array index going to the right. This is the element going down to the bottom. There's a different name for them. I want to make sure I'm calling it the right thing here. Value. Okay. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's say this is encyclopedia. This is the word book, name, address, city, state, zip, code, and phone number. Something like that. And all you do is you take your word here, B-O-O-K, N-A-M-E, A-D-D-R-E-S-S, and so on and so forth. C-D-I-T-Y, S-T-A-T-E, I-P-C-O-D-E. All right, here's a big one. P-H-O-N-E-U-M-B-E-R. Okay. So, I say so a lot. I should stop saying so much. Let's make these the right size here. There we go. So going down this way, you have indexes of this array, 0 through 7. And there's 8 indexes of this array. You can see down here in my Excel, I have number of cells that contain data that's 8, right? So, but in arrays, items, anything with an index in C# is going to start with an array index of 0. It's always your first element of your array. So if I was going to look at array element number 5, I would count down 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that gives me state, even though this is the 6th element of the array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here I have 8 elements of an array because I have 8 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it works the same way going this way. So if I want to get the I'm sorry, let's say I want to get the E in address, I will come over here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would say give me array element 3 and the position 4 of that array element, which would give me my E, capital E. Just like this, if I wanted to get the U in phone number, I would go to array element number 7, and I would go to the position 7 in that array, and that would give me the letter U. So that's how arrays work, down and across. Now that's kind of how this works here as well. Well, let me back up. So what people use these for loops for is they use them to look in things that have rows and columns of data, basically. And I'm not talking about tables. You can treat an array the same way. Think of an array as having columns of data and rows of data. Now I want to get specific rows of data in my array. So I can set this to 0 to start on element 0. And then I can go through and loop through the array. So let me go back up here. So this particular statement right here initializes a counter starting at 0. You can set it whatever you want to. This one gives you a conditional that says, I want to go through my loop until I meet this condition, or while this condition is true. So while I is less than 10, keep looping. And then the third part of this is just going to add 1 to I each time I go through. So let's just kind of practice that. Let me get rid of the for each loop here. Let's just kind of practice that real quick. And I won't even put it down there. I'll put it up here so I know that we're going to hit it. Oh, come on. Let's put it in our load form here. Okay, there we go. And let's make it nice and neat again. That. Okay. And let me give myself a string variable. String, let's do the encyclopedia. Word equals. Okay. And then let's say I want to get in encyclopedia, I want to get the O in encyclopedia. So I need to look at position 6 of the word encyclopedia, which is 11 indexes long. 1, 2, 3, 12, I should say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 0 starts at 11, obviously. So what I can do is I can say, let's do something real quick. Cons or message box. Box show. And what I'll do is I will say, give me word index word, and I will put I in here. Word char dot we'll do it this way, to an array of char. to char array. So what that's going to do, it's creating an array of characters basically. And then what I can do in here is I can say letter in word plus char r, and then I'm going to use instead of curly brace, I'm going to use a bracket, put I in there, and then hit that. So what that will do is it will go through and give me a message box for every single letter that's in there. So if I hit F5 or start, we can see how this loop works. Shimon. Okay, so we initialize to 0, I to 0. We give it a condition, and we're only going to do this for 10. We've got a word that's more than 10 bytes long, right? So it's going to do this while this is less than 10. So it's going to stop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's going to stop on the E. So we're only going to get part of the way through our word. And hit at 10 again. And what's going to happen is it gives us an array. And that's not going to work that way. I need to move that up outside of the loop. There we go. So hit F10 a couple of times, and we should have an E. And if I just hit F5, N, C, Y, C, L, O, P, E, and that's the last letter we're going to say. Oh, I'm sorry, the D. I just miscounted. 0, 1, 2, yep. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. That's why. Right there. It starts on 0. So we're going to use logic kind of like this for our iteration through our table. You can also do what's called a for each loop. For each. And the way that works is very similar to a regular for loop, but what it does is it takes an object and it breaks it apart as needed. So let's say I say word equals like that, and I can say word. So what it automatically does is it creates this item as a char in a char array. So I don't have to cast it or do anything like that. It's just going to go ahead and cast it for me because it knows that word is an array of characters. So I can do the same logic that I had. Message box, show, letter in word is, plus, and I can just say item, like this. And I don't have to index it. It's going to automatically go through it each time anyway. Same logic, E, N, except this time what it's going to go through the entire word. C, Y, C, L, O, P, E, D, I, A. So that's the difference between the two, is that you can, this is a very powerful tool, and I use it all the time. I use for loops quite often, but I use for each like all the time. All right, so let's go down here in our remove item. We've got our item data table, and what we're going to do is we're going to have to loop through each row of our item data table. So in a table, you have rows. So we can do a for each, and we can say, we can do this one or two ways. We can either explicitly cast a data row in item data rows like that, because we know it's a data row. We're going to say var. It'll automatically cast it as a data row either way. See, it says it's an object, but it knows that these are rows here. Better practice is to cast it as a data row. So let's just cast it as a data row like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to read in the row, and we need to get the information out of the row. Now to do that, we can refer to what we've got going on here, and we can get this information right there. So I can copy that right there. I'm going to look up the name. Go back over here. And I can say message box dot show to string like that. And this is only going to work if I've got rows in the table. So if it doesn't have any rows, it's not even going to do the for each loop. It's just going to skip over it because there's no rows in the table. So let's put our breakpoint here, start our debugger, say remove. It's going to come through, and it's going to say, nope, there's nothing in there. So it would make sense to move this logic up into our for loop here, our for each loop, right? Because if there's no rows, then why call this DAO function? We can just skip over it. But if we have rows in our table, grapes, $1, one, add, and let's go to remove. So we go through, it's going to find a row. Now we're inside, and if we look over here on a row, we can see our grapes and all that kind of stuff that we have there that we added our row to. And then if we hit F10, we should get a message box that pops up with the name of the item. So the way I did this before on the other one is I used a different method of the message box class, similar to what I did down here for the closed form. So I gave it a yes, no. I gave him a selection. Message box show. And I'm just going to copy this here. And since we're typing a string, we're going to do a interpolated, I think that's how you say it, string. And I'm going to type would you like to remove item? And put curly braces in there and put a question mark there. Get rid of that. And in here, comma. And remember, we are using the message box class, or the message box show method, which has multiple forms. It's polymorphic. So we're going to find the right one we're going to use. Here we go, right here. Message box buttons dot. I'm going to say yes, no. And it doesn't like that. To string. Show. Oh, wait. We need a caption in there. Get rid of that. And our caption. Here we go. That's what we want. Delete item. We'll run out of space on our screen here, so I'm going to put that down there like that. Just for safety's sake here. And then since this returns something, it's going to return their decision. I'm going to say var delete decision equals. We can conditionalize off of that delete decision and say if delete decision equals to string equals yes, then what we want to do is pass the row into our pass the chosen row and pass the data table into our method over here and delete that row. So we'll have to change the signature of our delete record method over here too. But let's just see if this works here, if we can get down this far. So I'll take the breakpoint off of there, put it down there. And we'll have to have a no in there, something if it's a no. Or better yet, we can just go through. So I'll just say start. Put some items in there, grapes, $1, figs, $2, oranges, $3, and toilet paper, $12.75, and it's tax for one, it's a taxable item. So let's click remove, and you see it says, do we want to remove grapes? And if we say no, it should just go on to the next one after I hit F5. Boom, boom, boom. We'll do it again. Boom, 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 boom. One more time. Boom. And I'll click yes this time. And you'll notice that it just went ahead and skipped over that. Let's see. So yes again. So our decision is a yes, and then this is where we would pass in our row to delete out of the table. So let's see how we want to do that part of it. There's multiple ways to do this. The way that I did it before is probably not the most efficient way. Let's go to our GitHub one we put in there already and look at what we did before in our branch here. Grocery list and go to our DAO. See what we did before. So here's our delete data row. And what I'm basically doing is going through all of those data rows. And I think all I really need to do, let me copy that, what I did here. Copy that. And I'll paste that over there. It's going to squawk right away because I don't have a data table. So I'm going to put data table. DT. And let's pass in a data row. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I think there is a select function in the data table class. Let's Google that too, will we? I think you can do like a select or something like that. I've never really used it before. That's a data set. That's just all of them that match the filter criteria. Let's see this filter criteria one. Where date. I'm gonna be lazy. I'm just gonna do this part here. Okay. So basically what this is doing is it's taking the data table. It's going to go through all the rows of the data table from the last row to the first row in reverse. It's going to find that, look for the item. Oh, let me pass in the value here. And then it's going to look for the value where that item name is equal, the value of the item name is equal to the value that we've got over here. And then it's right here. This is what we want. And we're going to pass in item data and the row. And it's going to squawk because we don't have that set up yet over here. But what we will do is just grab this, copy that, go to the top, and replace that with this, like thus. And now life is all hunky-dory over here. And what we probably should do, instead of doing this method here, like that, what we're doing there, is just create a quick little var item name equals, nope, not that, this right here. So we don't have to keep calling the toString method on our stuff there. KD, there we go. And instead of that there, we're going to put item name down here. I'm going to pass in item name here. Come here. That's my daughter. Yes, ma'am?
I think it's off.
Oh, you think it's off?
Yes.
Well, it looks dead. Yeah, it's off. There's no more juice. It's okay. It's time to go night night anyway. You should go get yourself there you go. You know the drill. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pass in this item name. If it's yes, do what we were doing before. So let's add some items. Grapes. Take that to Alexis. Tell her to help you. 1, and we'll add chicken tenders. $2. We'll add meat. Something. We'll just call it meat. And toilet paper. I live in a house full of ladies. Never thought toilet paper would be a hot commodity, but trust me, if you're the only guy in a house full of women folk, toilet paper is a must. Okay, so I'm going to click remove. It's going to iterate through. I'm going to click no until I get to the meat. I'm going to say yes. So we've got our item name, it's meat, and our item data is our table. Hit F11. And what it's going to do is it's going to find the item that's in our table and delete it. But it's going to iterate through every row in the table from reverse. So this one is going to be the toilet paper. 10. So if I go over here to this data row here, I know this is the toilet paper. It's going to do a conditional and look for the toilet paper in that row, and it won't find it, so it should skip down to the next row. I mean, to the next, it should skip to the next row in our condition. And now we found it. We're going to delete it out of there. We return it. And we just had an exception. So let's go through again and add our stuff. Let's see. Grapes. Figs. Oranges. Oranges. And I always think I have the toilet paper. Remove. Nope. Nope. Yes. F10. Alright, now let's see what happened here. Collection was modified, enumeration operation might not execute. So what's happening there is it's saying, hey, when you started out this condition, you had 4 rows of data. Now, you only got 3 rows of data. It does not like that. So how can we fix this? How can we fix this exception? So let's just copy it. Let's control copy and Google how we would fix it. Go over here and click on here and scroll down here. This is our remove, our rows remove. That's an add, that's a remove. 10 table, 10 data table default view dot sort. Now, I don't like that solution. Let's look at this one here. Nope, that's casting it to a list. And um, oh, there we go. I see what's going on. So let's do it this way. And use the code snippet for RR. And we are going to do it the same way. And instead of, let's see here. How do I want to do this? Well, actually, what I could do is just exit out of the, yeah, let's just do that. Let's just return. I'm being lazy here, y'all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not give them the ability to delete the last row. We're going to let them only delete one thing at a time. Let's try that again. Let's see. Grapes. I don't know if that'll work though. I think it just returns one, add salt, 250, 240, 49, one, meat, and of course, 1270. Remove. Nope. 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 Let me add that one first. Now remove. Nope. Nope. Yes. Do that logic and return and get out of there. That's probably an easier thing to do. I mean, we could do some heavy lifting, but we're not going to do too much heavy lifting in this particular one. So let me go back. Remove. 5. Nope. Yes. Remove. Yes. Remove. Yes. Now, if I click this again, it's going to give me an error. Oh, maybe not. Let's add an item. Chicken. And let's do chicken and celery. And let's remove an item here. Nope. Nope. Yep. Yeah, it's actually working better than I thought it was going to. So let's close that and say, yep. Okay. I'm not convinced it's going to work the right way, but it's only deleting the row that you pick. You just have to go through it each time. Instead of looking it up or changing the indexes of the array each time and then worrying about when an index moves up or down or whatever. So we have a remove item method that works for us as we tested here. So that's step 2 that we've got kind of worked out here. And then instead of doing all of that in there, we're going to do what we did down here. An item. Paste our, oh, not that. Let's take this logic here. Move it down there. Because what we can do is we'll put a try catch on there. Try. No, not tree. Try. Alright, let's see. Take that. Right down there. Paste that. D. And then I'll say return true there. False there. And if they say no, we'll just keep looping through and it'll just down here return true if they don't pick one there. There we go. And the better way to do that is to bool ret val equals true. And then here, let's do it once. the one return. There we go. That's better. And then that way we only have to do um, one return. Now, do it that way. Alrighty. There's a better way to do that, but I'm just being a little lazy here. There's more efficient ways to do this. Um, and then up here, we're going to say remove an item. There we go. Let's test it out one more time here. Grapes, $1. Figs, $2. Good night, Schnook. Behave. It's time to go night night. Oranges, $3. And of course the toilet paper. 12.75 for one. It's a taxable item. Let's do this. Nope, nope, nope. Yes. No, yes. 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 There we go. And now we've got an empty table here. So we've got our add functionality, our remove functionality. Now we have to do the update functionality. How much time do I have? It's been, oh man, it's been an hour already. So we're going to do that in the next video. We'll do the update functionality in the next video. And then what we'll do after that is we'll keep filling out our buttons. We know we've already got our close functionality there. The load and the save functionality will come next. And then last, we'll do the share functionality and make sure our items are going to total up the right way. Until then, till the next video, you can rewatch any of these videos. Um, I encourage you to keep practicing, keep trying, and I will see you later. Peace out.